as I play some selections inspired just by the moment, inspired by the energy, inspired by the beauty of this day, welcoming us all into this space together as we gather as one. We have come into this house to gather in His name and worship, and to share, and to experience, and to learn, and to grow. We have come into this house. Let's forget about our past, every moment before and every moment after, and just be present in this moment right now. Let us clear our hearts, clear our minds, and gather in the name of the Spirit, in the name of the One, the universal being, the light, the breath within us all. I give thanks. Good morning, blessed day. Welcome to Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Thank you for those who joined us for meditation, and welcome to those who are just joining us. I will do a brief musical introduction and welcoming, continuing and honoring, celebrating and uplifting the ancestors as we continue Black History Month. I will do a short medley of two of my favorite Black history hymns, anthems, and musical selections. Lift every voice, and we shall overcome. As we take our Black history and let it guide us into our Black future, and our Black consciousness, and our Black celebration, and knowing that we are all one. So celebrating Blackness is celebrating life and love in all of its forms. So we give thanks. Lift every voice, we shall overcome. Give thanks. And now I introduce Cheryl Archer. Give thanks. Thank you. Good morning. Cheryl Archer.
Good morning, and thanks to our wonderful musicians, Kev Choice, and later on, Nina Gray. And welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach spiritual principles and practices that nourish us, uplift us, and celebrate our oneness with all of life. And a special welcome to those of you who are joining us for the very first time. We're so glad you found us, and we hope you keep coming back. We can't wait to meet you in person, back in our beautiful sanctuary on the hill very soon. And do make sure you sign up for our weekly newsletter so you can learn about all the things that we have going on here at the Oakland Center. If you'd like to connect with us, please send an email to Constance Chapman, our administrative coordinator, at constance@oaklandcsl.org. That's CONSTANCE at oaklandcsl.org. Now let's take a moment to bless our children wherever they are. We honor all of our youth and children in our community and in the world. We love you. We see you. You are Spirit's gift to us. Thank you for being in our lives. And so it is. I have just a few announcements this morning. This Wednesday, February the 23rd, Practitioner Emeritus Carmen West Jefferson will lead our Satsang talk, digging even deeper into how to the ultimate fear buster. Meditation starts at 6:30. Service is at 7. Find the Zoom link at our website, oaklandcsl.org. Then next Sunday, February the 27th, practitioner Lucian Baker will be busting up that fear even more during our weekly Wednesday evening satsang. Come join the conversation and quench that midweek spiritual thirst at our Hump Day Oasis of Source. Meditation starts at 6:30. Services are at 7. Find the Zoom link on our website, oaklandcsl.org. We're well into the midst of Black History Month now, and it's still not too late to dive into several wonderful groups where we'll really be digging deep into subjects to find the light that's been buried. CAST book study starts February the 7th, and you'll join Practitioner Emeritus Carmen West Jefferson for the remainder of her 8-week journey into exploring the consciousness concerning difference and hierarchy in the United States. By becoming aware, we then have the power to change that consciousness to one of unity. Guidance for Spiritual Journey continues to meet daily at noon for half an hour or slightly more. The noontime spiritual journey started a year ago for Black History Month. The daily readings and discussions are rich and full of wisdom. When Black History Month ended a year ago, we continued. Each day, we read from Guidance for a Spiritual Journey by Dr. Daniel Lee Morgan, who served for over 40 years as the founder and minister of Guidance Church of Religious Science. The season for nonviolence is also well underway. And for the remainder of the 64 days, we will continue to put our consciousness and attention on nonviolence. Did you forget to sign up? It's not too late. We know that what we pay attention to grows. So let's grow nonviolence as a community. When we sign up and take part, you'll receive a daily email with thoughts to contemplate. You'll also pick up a booklet to do daily journaling. Please sign up today by going to the events page. The sign up link will also be in the Village News tomorrow. The Oakland Center's annual meeting will be held on Friday, March the 4th at 6:30 p.m. by Zoom. Everyone is invited to attend. Official members should have already received a notice and ballot in the mail last week. So double check your spam and junk folders if you did not get that email. And the day after that, join practitioner Constance Chapman on Saturday, March 5th at 10 a.m. for a morning of transformative play. Do you remember the joy as a child of finger painting and playing with paint? Tap into that joy again or experience for the first time. The purpose of this 3-hour workshop is to guide you to articulate and embrace the gifts that you're carrying inside, whether you call it a gift, your personal medicine, or your contribution. We all have our unique traits and skills that we bring to our family, community, and to the world. This workshop is in person, and we ask that everyone be vaccinated. All supplies and snacks are included. Space is limited, so register now on the events page. The cost is $45. Breaking news. Oakland Center is aware of recent revised recommendations for Alameda County and the city of Oakland concerning indoor gatherings. We will be opening soon. When we have a firm date of reopening, we will be requiring proof of vaccination, a valid photo ID, and masks will be required. There's more to come. We'll see you soon. And as always, information on all that is going on at the Oakland Center can be found by visiting our website, www.oaklandcsl.org, and sign up for our weekly newsletter, the Thursday Village News. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook for special updates and content you'll only find by liking and subscribing to OCSL. Now, please read along with me as I read our mission and vision statement. The vision of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to joyfully reveal the love and oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music, prayer, and play. Now it's my pleasure to introduce board member Anthony Prado. He's going to talk about our new minister search.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good morning, OCSL. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And I'm on the new minister search committee. As she said, I'm Anthony Prado. I'm also a board member. Just going to give you a brief update of what's going on. What we had to do is put together a profile package. What it is a lot of details about our ministry, the city of Oakland, our activities, and we are in the process of getting candidates. So it's a two-way street. We put this profile together, which had a lot of information, and we presented to Reverend Julie Labato, who is our representative with headquarters. And we had just finished that profile. So what the next stage is that she has this information. And apparently, I'm not sure how ministers who are looking for a position go for it, but they have to contact her. And she gives them the packet of information. And in return, they have to submit an application, which is given to her. I think she kind of screens them, and then she passes them on to us. And then we go through them. Actually, I think she vets them in a sense to see if this is going to be a good fit for Oakland. But then we have to vet them, and then we review them, and then we will then interview the applicants at that point. Let me just read this here. We finalized our information, we sent it to the central office. Central office will review all applications and send applicants they believe to be a good fit to OCSL. And this is all timeline in divine order. But one of the things I want to make clear, if you know somebody who wants to apply for this ministerial position, don't refer them to Reverend Jerry. The process is to refer them to Reverend Julie, but if you don't know her contact information, go through one of us. I'm on the committee. Bonnie Gonzalez and Linda Wyman are the two spokespersons for the committee. Dorothy Mendez, Elke, Susan Urquhart Brown, and Beth Van Arkel. We're all the committee, so if you have any suggestions or who you think would be good, let us know, and then we will refer that individual on to Reverend Julie. And another piece of exciting information I want to share is that on March 4th, when we have our annual meeting, part of this package is a promotional video. There were about 5 centers. They all did videos and we reviewed them. And Bonnie Gonzalez and myself and Max, who's on the AV team, have had some really exciting sessions, creativity sessions, putting this video together. And we're going to present that video on March 4th. It's only 4 or 5 minutes. It's what it is. This is about the city of Oakland. This is about OCSL. This is who we are. This is what we do. And we had a lot of fun putting this together. Where it's 80%, 90% done right now. Bonnie and I and Max are going to just do some final edits. But we're going to be very excited to present it to you guys on March 4th. So that's the update for now. If you have any more questions, you can get a hold of one of us. Again, Linda and Bonnie are the two individuals in charge, leading the group. So thank you very much for your time. Have a good week. Oh, I have to introduce Dorothy. I'm sorry, Dorothy. Dorothy will be our pulpit assistant now. She's going to take us into prayer, to a sacred space. Thank you.
Hello, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. It is my pleasure to be your pulpit assistant today. And I have 2 readings for you today. So just sit back right where you are and just relax and take in these words. I'm going back. Our Minister's Covenant, which we will read together. Forgive me. Everyone, take in a deep breath, and together we read. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all of its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new ministry is to reveal spirit. I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as wisdom. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by Spirit. For it is written, I am filled with divine wisdom. I allow divine mind to fill my mind now. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unity in the community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself. For I am inspiring unity in diversity, embracing and nourishing our community. I am awakening the wisdom within. I am healing and expanding our community with the power of love. I am engaging the community in building a world that works for everyone. I am deepening family consciousness. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they are revealed in a way that illumines spirit and serves the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful. God is gracious. And so it is. Ashe. Oh, let's just breathe that in. I have two readings today. And our first reading, as we sit back and relax and take it all in, our first reading is by our founder, Ernest Holmes. Divine forgiveness is always within reach. What a great burden of personal responsibility disappears when we understand that the eternal mind holds nothing against anyone. Ernest Holmes. Our second reading is by Reverend Michael Beckwith. One of the most potent actions supporting our evolutionary growth is giving our consent to releasing victim stories through acts of forgiveness. No matter how small or how great is a victimhood story, it is a profound practice to offer forgiveness each night before going to sleep, so that you don't carry resentments into the freshness of the next new day. And this includes self-forgiveness. Reverend Michael Beckwith. So let's take in that deep breath, that common breath that unites each and every one of us. For we know there is only one life, and that life is the life of God. That life is whole, that life is perfect, that life is complete. And that life is your life and my life right here, right now. As we come together to celebrate this wonderful Sunday that God has blessed us with, this wonderful month of Black history, we know that right where we are one power, one presence that we call God. And in that power and presence, we know that we shall overcome anything, any obstacle that is standing in our way, regardless of the appearances of things, because we know that God is all there is. So I'm blessing this wonderful, magnificent service today as we open our hearts and our minds to renew and let go everything that no longer serves us. That we take in these words of Dr. Michael Beckwith and Reverend Ernest Holmes. We take in these words and knowing that forgiveness is the order of this day and every day of our life. And we give great thanks for this wonderful speaker who is going to bring us the perfect words today that we need to hear for the betterment of our lives. We bless Reverend Verona Garland. We bless her, we surround her with love and light. And knowing that as she comes forth, that we are truly transformed and renewed by the words that she speaks today. I bless each and every person who has had anything to do with bringing you this magnificent service today. Our wonderful musicians, our AV teams, our hosts, everyone, we bless them, we give thanks for them, for without them, this would not take place. So I'm knowing that this service is already complete in the mind of God. And all we need to just be still, open at the top, and take in all this wondrous beauty that is taking place for us today. So I am knowing, regardless of the appearances, God is all there is. God is our light. God is our sufficiency in all things. And so as I, Dorothy, release this word into the law, knowing that it cannot return void in any way because God always says yes. So I let go, I let God, and together we say, and so it is. And now I have the pleasure of introducing you to our magnificent musician, Miss Nina Gray.
Thank you so much, Dorothy. I feel that in the depths of my soul this morning. I appreciate you sharing a song this morning called Breathe. As a reminder, we can enter a holy moment anytime we remember to take a conscious, deep breath, bring ourselves back to the presence of this glorious, God-filled moment. Enjoy. When my mind can't find the words and my heart's a mess, I've got to remind myself to breathe through it. When there's fire behind my eyes and grief inside my chest, I've got to remind myself to breathe through it. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself, darling. Breathe it all out, then breathe it all in. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself, darling. Breathe it all out, then breathe it all in. When the weight of this whole world feels so heavy on my soul, I got to remind myself to breathe through it. When the shadows and the depths will not let me get no rest, I got to tell myself to breathe through it. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself, darling. Breathe it all out, then breathe it all in, breathe it all in. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself, darling. Breathe it all out, then breathe it all in. Don't make it complicated, babe, just breathe. Don't you worry about if you're doing it perfectly. And don't make it complicated, babe, just breathe. Let your chest rise up and fall down naturally. Baby, breathe. Come home to yourself, darling. Breathe it all out, Breathe it all in. You take a deep breath with me. We'll hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. I'll pass the talking stick to Reverend Jerry Carter.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Nina, for the beauty and the clarity and just that amazing feeling tone that you leave us with every time you're with us. You are such a blessing. Thank you. And good morning, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I am Reverend Jerry Carter, and I'm so honored to be hosting today's speaker, Reverend Verona Garland, and I'm so happy to share in ministry with her this day. You know, she and I grew up as practitioners at Oakland Center, and I'm excited to welcome her back to our pulpit, although virtual. She is also co-facilitating our Advanced Consciousness Studies class in this term too. So we are truly blessed by her in this amazing month, especially this amazing month of Black History, African American History Month, and all of its celebration. We have been bringing the best speakers and the inspiring experiences. So I'm going to share a little bit of a bio with Reverend Verona Garland to let you know what she's been up to. So Reverend Verona Garland is a prosperity mentor, certified freedom life coach, interfaith minister. She serves as the assistant minister of Agape Bay Area, a center for awakened living in Oakland, California. Verona's ministry expressions include global pilgrimages, inspirational speaking, spiritual counseling, teaching, and curriculum writing, life rituals, and visioning facilitation in the exhilarating joyousness of oneness. And I have posted her website in our chat up at the top, www.veronagarland.com. Please check her out. So now I'd like to welcome Reverend Verona back to our pulpit. Reverend Verona.
Thank you, Reverend Jerry Carter. Thank you so, so much. And I must start this as the Baptist girl I am. And what that means is I bring greetings of love and light from Reverend Joan Stedman, from Reverend Cindy Edelson, and from our entire Agape Bay Area community. And also, I must just stand in a place of the depths of gratitude for Reverend Jerry Carter. As she said, we grew up together at OCSL as practitioners, and thank you, my sweet sister, for welcoming me back home. So here we are today. We are in Black History Month, and the title of today's talk is Forgive to Live. Now, I'd like to let you know that I believe that spirit is about everything in the cosmos that we can think of, that we can imagine, that we can even appear to know about. However, one of the most important things about spirit that I believe is that spirit is about fun. Spirit is about fun and enthusiasm and ecstasy and joyousness. So I like to start each one of my sharings or co-creations with a joke. So I want to start today with a joke. Okay, so there was a minister, and this minister's sermon title was Forgive Your Enemies. So toward the end of the service went on for a while, and toward the end of the service, he asked the congregation, how many of you have forgiven your enemies? Okay, so about half of the people there, their hands went up. All right, about half of the people said, okay, I have. However, as it was well past lunchtime and the congregants knew that this minister was going to ask this again, how many of you have forgiven your enemies? The next time he asked, about 80% of the people raised their hands went up. Okay. And so after they responded, he asked the question one more time, 3 times, how many of you have forgiven your enemies? And everyone's hand went up except one person. One woman named Mrs. Jones. That's what we'll call her name. It could be Mrs. anyone. Mrs. spiritual being of light, okay? And her hand didn't go up, and he asked her, you know, are you not willing to forgive your enemies? And she said very, very sweetly, I don't have any. And he said, wow, that's very unusual. How old are you, Mrs. Jones? And she said, well, I'm 93 years old. And he said, well, you know, what a blessing and a lesson you can teach all of us. So could you come down to the front here? Could you come down here to the pulpit area and talk to us about how it is that you've lived to be 93 years old and you don't have an enemy in the world? So this sweet little lady toddled on down to the front. And when she got down there at the front, she faced the congregation and said, I outlived all of the old farts. So that's just to let us know that we can be in this place of forgiveness, forgiving to live, and we can also be in this space of transformation and enlightenment. And there's no need for us to be in a place of absolute seriousness. And I'm speaking to myself about this because sometimes I can get very serious. I am enlightened. I am the expression of the one power and presence. However, we can laugh about it. We can make jokes about it. So, Forgiving to Live, when I saw this title, I was very happy because it's an ongoing activity in the life of myself, spirit as me, and also it can be an ongoing activity for all of us, every day, every second, every moment. This is our blessing, our opportunities for growth. However, I decided, okay, so let's really dig deep into forgiveness because we are co-creating here together. We are here together having a play date with spirit, all of us. We all signed up for this play date at this time in this space today. So I thought about, okay, so what's the opposite of forgiveness? What is unforgiveness? What is it about? What does unforgiveness do? What does it create? What are the facets of unforgiveness? And so rather than just rely upon what was in my heart about unforgiveness, I really researched this. And some of the things that showed up that unforgiveness is the creation of, or unforgiveness can show up as, is one thing, as Reverend Jerry said in my bio, thank you, Reverend Jerry, that I'm a prosperity mentor. And one of the things I've come to know as in being a prosperity mentor is that indebtedness is about unforgiveness. Now, you're probably thinking, whoa, where did that come from, Reverend Verona? Well, it comes from the truth. Absolutely, positively. Years and years ago, when I first started knowing that prosperity mentoring and living a life of prosperity was to be my part of my purpose, I listened to the great, infamous and wonderful Edwin Gaines. And one of the things that Edwin Gaines taught at that time was unforgiveness. Unforgiveness creates indebtedness. And how does it create indebtedness, or how does it fuel, or how does it foundation indebtedness? Because there's low self-esteem, possibly. There's possibly unworthiness. And that is, and then unforgiveness of ourselves. That can be the foundation of, that can be the source of, that can be part of the co-creation of unforgiveness. Now, that's really amazing to me. And it's also something that we all get to be with and think about and just be aware of. And in this awareness, we get to be in this awareness while we are being tender and gentle with ourselves, while we're really treating ourselves like Karen Drucker says, treat yourself like a newborn baby child when you're thinking of unforgiveness connected to possibly indebtedness in the life of spirit that each one of us is leading. So the next thing that showed up for me about unforgiveness is unforgiveness creates contraction. It creates contraction, it creates tension, it creates hindrances, and it creates blockages. Unforgiveness is, it shows up in our body temples in a way that where we're all scrunched up and everything is contracted. It contracts all sorts of things in our body temples. And our body temples are one of the forms of communication of spirit. Our body will let us know what's going on if we will listen to it, if we will go within, do our intuitive work, go inside and listen. So that's one of the other things that unforgiveness is the co-creation of, or could be. And the third thing that showed up for me about unforgiveness, and this really tripped me out when I looked it up, unforgiveness has been proven as the source of several illnesses or diseases. Okay, and one of them that I saw in the research is that cancer can be a part of unforgiveness. Glaucoma can be a result of unforgiveness. Heart dis-ease can be a result of unforgiveness. Sleep deprivation can be a result of unforgiveness. And yes, this has all been proven scientifically. You know, the quantum physicists and the scientists all know now what we've all been knowing for a long time, that it's all about spirit. It's all about spirit. It is only about the one power and the one presence, that it is all interconnected, and that it all melds together in the most spectacular and magnificent matrix of life as itself. So these unforgiveness things, when they showed up for me, I thought, wow, this is very interesting. And look at how it can impact us without our even knowing about it. So I just want you to just be with that for a minute, let that absorb, let those facts go in, okay? So because this is Black History Month, I thought, wow, I get opportunity to share some Black history, some things that were shared with me as a little girl. And so what showed up for me about Black History Month and the sharing and the forgiveness and the unforgiveness and what can and cannot happen as a result of the toxicity of unforgiveness, or what can and cannot appear and transform and transmute if we forgive to live, who showed up for me is the great statesman himself, Frederick Douglass. He was a great statesman. He was an apostle of liberty and grace. He was the magnificent, the most marvelous, the most spectacular Frederick Douglass. So I want to share a little bit about him with you if you don't know about him. And if you've already heard about Frederick Douglass this month, then you can hear about him again. You can hear about him some more. So Frederick Douglass was born in 1818, and he was, he was a product of a slave inception. That's the word I'd like to use, that the slave master had his way with Frederick Douglass's mother. And when he was born in 1818, he became a slave on the plantation where he lived, okay? And about the time he was 8 or 9 years old, he was given to another slave master. He was given to Captain Thomas Auld. And Captain Thomas Auld, who he was given to, was the son-in-law of the slave master who owned Frederick Douglass at the time. And he was given, actually, the slave master's daughter got married to Captain Thomas Auld, and Frederick Douglass was part of the bridal gifts. He was part of the package of bridal gifts that were given. And so he was the slave owned by Captain Thomas Auld. And then in 1838, when he was 20 years old, Frederick Douglass decided, I am escaping. I am leaving this. And so he escaped slavery by getting on a train, dressed as a sailor, and he rode that train from where he was born in the South in slavery to New York City. And so he got to New York, and that's how he got freed as a slave. And so when he got freed as a slave, he decided that of course, his life, he didn't want the slave life anymore. It was time for him to enrich the life of spirit that he knew he was, because slavery didn't automatically mean that you weren't anything. It just meant that you happened to be in that circumstance at that moment. Okay. So Frederick Douglass, he learned how to read during the time before he left the South, before he escaped to freedom. He learned how to read, and he learned to read just a little bit. And the way he increased his reading capabilities was he used to barter bread with white children to teach him more about how to read, because he had access when he got to be free. He was a freed man now, and so he had access. And some of the other things that Frederick Douglass did while he was living in New York City, he escaped to the United Kingdom and Ireland so that he would not be re-enslaved. Because just because he was a free man didn't mean that there didn't come a time where the slavers came and rounded him up with all the other African-American people or African peoples and reinstituted them into slavery. So Frederick Douglass did all these things. And other thing about Frederick Douglass, that when I was a little bitty girl with braids, I used to be so excited to know that Frederick Douglass worked for 5 U.S. presidents. Yeah, Frederick Douglass worked for 5 U.S. presidents beginning in 1877 and in many different roles. However, he was always called Marshall Douglass. That was the name that he was called, Marshall Douglass. And so Frederick Douglass, there came a time when Frederick Douglass's slave owner, Captain Auld, was dying. He was making his transition, and he asked for Frederick Douglass to show up there, to come see him. So Frederick Douglass, in all of his dignity, awareness, understanding, and grace, he showed up there for Captain Auld. And so he showed up, just Captain Auld was making his transition, he showed up. And so when he got there, he excuse me, he said to Captain Auld, you know, he came in and paid his respects to Captain Auld, and Captain Auld said, how are you, Marshal? How are you, Marshal Douglas? And Frederick said, you know what, you can call me Frederick. You can call me what you used to call me when you owned me, which was really quite an undertaking for Frederick Douglass. He took a chance on losing his dignity. He took a chance on being disrespected. He took a chance on not being known for the truth of who and whose he really was. However, he did this because he was modeling a way forward for the nation at that time that was paralyzed by bigotry. He was risking it all. And I would like to share with you what he said at this time to Captain Auld. I regarded him as I did myself, subject to the circumstances of birth, education, law, and customs. He allowed himself. He allowed that to happen. Frederick Douglass, the great statesman, the great apostle of dignity and grace and so much more, he allowed that to happen as his former slave owner, Captain Auld, was making his transition. Because Frederick Douglass knew, like Dr. Holmes says, is that divine forgiveness is always within reach. It is always there for us. So I'm so inspired by Frederick Douglass, and I'm sure you are too. And you're probably thinking, okay, Reverend Verona, this is really wonderful. You gave us education. You brought to us the things that unforgiveness can make happen. And exactly how is this, in what way is this working in my life today? Because when I'm not the speaker, when I'm the one listening, usually I'm saying, I like all this. I got it. It's good. It's really something good to chew on, to masticate, to assimilate, to really be a part of this forgiveness activity. However, in what ways can it show up? In what ways can I step into this completely living to forgive or forgiving to live? And some of the things that showed up for me, three things showed up for me in the ways that we can do this. And it was really from the example of Frederick Douglass. And the first way that we can allow ourselves to flow into, roll into, jump into, skip into, hopscotch into, cartwheel into forgiveness is we get to rediscover the humanity of it all. When we feel we have been wronged, we get to rediscover the humanity of it all. And in rediscovering that humanity, we get to remember that we are all connected in the oneness. Each and every one of us, we are all connected in the oneness. There is no separation. There is only one life here. There is only one of us here expressing itself in differing variations, in differing, unrepeatable, unique expressions of the one. So that's the first way we get to step into forgiveness. We get to really rediscover the humanity of it all and the humanity of all concerned. We get to be in that place of awareness. This is something, one of the first things we get to do. And we get to do it in trust and faith. We get to do it in steadfast faith. You know, Neville Goddard says that faith is absolutely loyalty to the reality. Unseen reality. Faith is loyal to the unseen reality. So we get to do that first and foremost. The second thing we get to do is we get to surrender getting even. I know. In our humanness, sometimes we'd like to get even. Sometimes I'd like to get even, okay? However, we get to surrender getting even. We get to absolutely step into the surrender of getting even. And you know, I'd like to use the Frederick Douglass example. The pain, the barbarism, the disregard for human life of slavery that Frederick Douglass was a part of, he still got to surrender the getting even. Because what Frederick Douglass did and what we get to do is speak truth to the power of love. We get to know it, we get to embrace it, we get to embody it, we get to reclaim our own power of love within and as each one of us. Because it's in there, it is us. It always is, always will be, and it is there. So the second thing we get to do is just surrender, getting even. And then the surrendering, getting even, the easiest way for us to make that happen is speak truth to the power of love. And the next way that we get to step into forgiveness is we get to release victimhood. And releasing the victimhood, I'm going to read back to you what Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith says about it, is that one of the most potent actions supporting your evolutionary growth is giving our consent to releasing victim stories through acts of forgiveness. Just let that sink in for a minute. Take a breath. You know, it's very easy to stay in the victim role. It's very easy to stay in that place of irresponsibility. It's very easy to just step into, well, they did it to me, it happened to me, la, 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 la. However, if we allow ourselves to step out of the victim role, if we allow ourselves to know, just like Frederick Douglass did, he might have been enslaved, but he was not unfree. There's a freedom within, through, and as Frederick Douglass that showed itself later on as the years went by. However, that freedom was already ensconced in the foundation and the depths of who and what he was from the very beginning. If we allow ourselves to do that, then we can shed the victim role. The victim role won't serve us anymore. You know, a lot of times we're doing things because it still serves us. The victim role won't serve us anymore if we allow ourselves to surrender it and release it and let it go, knowing that in the depths of us, the freedom of forgiveness lives and breathes and has its beingness. And so another way that we can allow ourselves to step into forgiveness, forgive to live, is we can shift our perspective. Yeah, this one is really one of the ones that really, for me, over my entire lifetime, has really been very helpful, shifting the perspective. And I love it that, Alina, thank you for that wonderful meditation at the top of the service. And if those of you who missed it, you missed quite a meditation. However, she referred to in the meditation exactly the same thing that showed up for me, which is Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 and 22. And before I go into it, I want to remind us that the Bible is a handbook. It is a handbook that we get to use just like any other workbook we might use. So in Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 and 22, it says, "Then Peter came to Jesus." And I want to remind us, this means Jesus, the Christ consciousness that is within and through each and every one of us. "Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, 'Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? And Jesus the Christ answered, 'I tell you, not 7 times, but 70 times 7. And for what reason did I include that? Because sometimes, I don't know about you, but I might say when I'm doing my spiritual works, I might say, okay, am I finished with this lesson yet? Okay, all right. Okay, Spirit, I've been doing all I've been praying, I've been visioning, I've been meditating, I've been contemplating, I've been taking classes, I've been affirming, am I complete yet? And this is the thing about forgiveness. 7 in biblical times was the number of completion. Okay, and so that's why the Christ consciousness spoke through, the law itself spoke through these words and says 70 times 7. This is what we get to do. This is what we are blessed to do. This is our absolute miraculous wondrousness to do, to be, to participate in. So all of these things, all of these 4 things that we get to do that are ours, that we tools and practices for forgiveness: rediscovering humanity, surrendering, getting even, releasing victimhood, and shifting our perspective. You're probably thinking, okay, I can work with these. I can roll with these. I can use these. And how is that working in your life, Reverend Verona? So I want to share with you in all transparency that I recently, in the last 10 days to 2 weeks, turned out to be in quite an opportunity for growth, a challenge, because I turned out to be in constant argumentativeness and misunderstanding with one of my adult children. And it showed up as just what I said, opportunity for growth, challenging, but it showed up as some pretty boisterously loud arguments. Okay, and it showed up as some selling wolf tickets. I don't know if you know what that means, selling wolf tickets, like throwing down the gauntlet, like, okay, all right, here's what's got to happen. Okay, all right, here's what's got to happen. It showed up in these sorts of ways, okay? And when it showed up in these sorts of ways, when it ceased, I stepped back away from it and thought, whoa, Spirit, so what's the lesson here? Now, I also would like to share with you is since the beginning of 2022, I am from a family of 5 siblings. And 3 of us are still on this side of the realm, 2 are on the other side of the realm, ancestoring and angeling us. However, of my 3 siblings, 2 of them they also got into some sort of opportunity for growth disagreement earlier this year. And here I am that they both turn to and say, well, Reverend Verona, our sister Reverend Verona, our expectation is that you counsel us, that you give us assistance in this seeming unforgiveness. So I was I've been holding the consciousness, been talking with all of them, praying with them, all praying together. And so here I was thinking, okay, all right, cool, Verona, you got this. Well, what does Spirit show up? What we concentrate on shows up sometimes where we put our minds. And here I am now finding that I am in a place of forgiveness and or unforgiveness with one of my adult children who I love dearly with all my heart and soul. Some of you, I'm sure, know this adult child because my children grew up at OCSL. And so within the depths of my contemplation, meditation, and actually in the wee small hours of the night, I realized, okay, for this to come through, for this to unfold, for this to opportunity for growth and this seeming challenge to make itself known, for it to show up as the lesson and the learning that it is, I get an opportunity to use these 4 practices that I just shared with you. First, I got an opportunity to rediscover the humanity in my adult child, to know that we are in this in the oneness, that we are both of us, the beloved of the beloved. And so that there is no difference, there is no duality, there is no separation. The next thing I got to actually step into was surrender getting even. Now, the getting evenness wasn't so much in my heart. However, what I really got to do was speak the truth to the power of love, to know that love is the foundation of this relationship. The love that each of us have for one another. The love that we chose before each of us incarnated here together when that person pointed and said, I want you to be my mama. And I pointed and said, and I want you to be my child. Okay. So I got to speak truth to the power of that love. The next thing I got to do was release any vestiges of victimhood, any vestiges of anything that I thought was like, well, I'm not being perceived in the way that I really am, that I'm not maybe being, and this was a big one, I'm not being respected as this person's mother. Release any of those sort of things. Just let it go, release it, surrender it, return it, diffuse it, and dissolve it into the nothingness from whence it came, never to return again in that energetic. To use that energetic to absolutely positively once again be in the place of love. And the final thing, of course, was I got to shift my perspective in that I got to know that within and as and through myself, no matter what happened in the entire situation, no matter how it ever unfolded, that I, Reverend Verona, got to forgive 70 times 7. That I got to be in a place of forgiveness 70 times 7. And some of that forgiveness was self-forgiveness. Some of that forgiveness was forgiveness for allowing my ego to step forward. My practitioner, who I love so dearly, one time said to me a long, long time ago, he may not even remember, you're in a car with your ego. However, your ego sits in the back seat and you're in the one in the front with the steering wheel. Okay, our ego is there for some really spectacular things to keep us safe sometime. However, the actual one who's driving is spirit itself. Okay, spirit as me, as you. So I got an opportunity to know that, okay, I get to forgive 70 times 7. And so now that I've given you all the lead up to this, you're probably wondering, so how did it turn out, Reverend Verona? How it turned out is that my adult child and myself have come to a place of absolute forgiveness, of divine resolution, of love, of absolutely building, growing, communicating with one another, co-creating with one another, and being in a place of appreciation for one another, because forgiveness led the way. Forgiveness led the path. Forgiveness made the crooked places straight, and that we both stepped into it wholeheartedly with absolute willingness, knowing that it is the way to live. So I'm asking you today, not asking you, I'm challenging each one of you. What part of you, in you, where is your inner Frederick Douglass? Where in you Can you use all of these practices? What part of you is asking for you to step out on the red carpet of love, knowing that it is filled to overflowing with forgiveness? Because we get to forgive to live, each and every one of us, in every way, in every situation, in every endeavor, in every activity, because each one of us is that God is. Each one of us is the vessel. Each one of us is the space and place where spirit stands forth as itself. So I'm challenging you. Today is the day you get to begin to embrace forgiveness. Today is the day that forgiveness magnetizes itself to you in ways and means and opportunities unbeknownst until this very moment. I ask you, are you ready? Let's pray. I am so grateful. I am so grateful to stand in the depths of the recognition of the one power, the one presence, the one essence, the one allness, the one isness of all that is, ever was, and ever will be. The oneness, the power and the presence of spirit itself, that is the Alpha and the Omega, and everything in between, the power and that presence that is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, omniactive, and omni-loving, knowing itself, loving itself, delighting in itself, and adoring itself in, through, and as each one of us here. For there is only one of us here, spirit itself. Each one of us being the light, the love, the givingness of spirit itself, knowing itself, understanding itself, and forgiving itself. And so I speak the word and I declare right here and right now that forgiveness is absolutely the fuel, the upliftment, the input, and the turbocharging of each one of us right here and right now. That each of us steps into forgiveness in glee and joy and gladness and goodness, knowing that it is spirit within and without and all around each and every one of us, knowing that forgiveness is the way, knowing that love makes the way, and forgiveness is part of that love making the way. I declare it, I affirm it, and I give thanks for it right here and right now. I give thanks for and speak the word for each one of us stepping into this forgiveness activity, ability, endeavor, and so much more in willingness to say, yes, spirit, I am that I am. I am the one that I've been waiting for. And I am, spirit, the one to absolutely positively be and spread and know and breathe forgiveness all over the planet. I give thanks for the words spoken here today. I give thanks for the entire service. I give thanks for each heart opening in transformation and transmutation and so much more. I give thanks for all of this, and I pass my word to Reverend Jerry.
So continuing in this vibrational energy of love and oneness and goodness, how good it is to know that we step into that spiritual practice of forgiveness, knowing that God's grace and love is everywhere present. So stepping into this beautiful consciousness that has been established, I, Reverend Jerry, speak my word this day on behalf of our nonprofit partner this month. The East Bay School for Boys empowers middle school boys to cultivate their intellectual, physical, and emotional selves to become engaged, thoughtful, courageous, and justice-minded adults of tomorrow. East Bay School for Boys serves 100 lively 6th, 7th, and 8th grade boys and has developed a uniquely innovative program rich with opportunities for all kinds of boys to become all kinds of great men. Oh, and just knowing for our planet Mother Earth, gratitude for her beauty and resilience, and our increasingly mindful stewardship of her. And blessing our youth and the youth of the world, knowing they are guided by the loving mind and heart of the One. And blessing those in service, creating a world that works for everyone. And I'm knowing right here and right now, and please know with me as well, love, comfort, peace of mind, and healing for all those impacted by challenges in whatever form. Let us know peace of mind and comfort for our beloved Lita de Seville, for Shannon Muse and for Eugenia, knowing God's grace and love is surrounding each of these beloveds. And also knowing peace for all those impacted by any type of disaster, whether it be weather or these variances or whatever experiences are being felt, that we know that there is only this one power and presence that is forever taking care of all of our earthly needs. And in knowing for those facing peace, of facing transition of any kind, we are knowing peace and comfort for our beloved Grady Nobles as Grady releases her sister Betty Jean, and for Eileen Grossman's dear friend Tom, who made his transition, knowing peace of mind for his wife Vicky and daughter Molly, and for our beloved Eileen. And let's take a moment now to go within and call forth anyone who may be on your heart in need of a prayer this day. Please feel free to speak their names out loud as we surround them in prayer. And as the names continue to be spoken, let us know with a heart filled full of gratitude that God's grace and love is our sufficiency each step of the way in our life experiences. And we are knowing that we are here by divine appointment to support one another as a community, the family of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. So just gratefully letting go and letting God be God in this moment, right here and right now and always, I say, as I release these words into that universal law of love, of life, that always says yes to our heart's desires. And so it is. And taking a moment to breathe that in and to breathe in all the amazing words spoken today as we have become truly enlightened by our beloved Reverend Verona and truly embraced in love by all that have put this service together, the musicians, oh my goodness, so amazing, and the meditation and the team that just supports us with all their hearts. We are truly a blessed community. And so, moving on in our service, this is our conscious giving time. And we have a slide that will be showing forth momentarily. And that slide is sharing with you all of the ways to give at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. And what I want to share with you before we read our affirmation, there we go. We can donate. There's a donate button on our website. There's text to give. There's Zelle. And of course, there's the good old postal service. And for those of you who are auto tithers, thank you so much for your givingness of spirit. And what I do want to share with you before we read our affirmation is that the spiritual practice of conscious giving is an invitation for us to deepen our connection with spirit and know that its infinite good is already within us. To give with an open, joyful, loving heart and grow by stretching our consciousness in the arena of giving. And Reverend Verona mentioned Edwin Gaines, and it's Edwin Gaines who I've often recite that says, you can't outgive God. So let us now hold our gifts to our hearts and read our giving affirmation this day. Okay, so please join me. This gift I give is God in action. It does good work in the world and blesses creation. And so it is. And now I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our amazing Dorothy Mendez, Practitioner Emeritus, back to the platform. Dorothy.
Thank you, Reverend Jerry.
Welcome.
Wow, what a Sunday. This is awesome. Thank you, Reverend Verona, for those magnificent words. Thank you, everyone who had anything to do with this service today. It is awesome, just awesome. Now, we, the practitioners of Oakland Center, we have that gift to give to you, and that is the gift of prayer. And so right after our service, you can be put in a breakout room for a prayer. We ask that you not take, well, you're probably home, but if you have anything heavy on your heart, just bring it to a practitioner today. If there's any forgiveness that needs to be released, bring it to a practitioner. That's what we are here for. We love to pray. And so hang out, raise your hand when it's time, and you will be put in connected with a practitioner for a prayer. And we call it a 3-minute miracle. So it's not a long session, but if you prefer to have a longer session, you may go to our website, and there are practitioners there that will do a 30-minute session with you. You may call into our prayer line. There is a prayer there. Leave a message, and someone will return your call. So in saying that, let us prepare for our affirmation. And my suggestion is that you read this affirmation, say it every day. And if you have any difficulty sleeping, when you wake up, say that affirmation, turn it over to God, and then you'll go back to sleep. So together, let us say our affirmation. I forgive, and I am free. And so it is. And I have the honor of turning it over to our beloved musician, Kev Choice.
Give thanks, give thanks. Wow, what a beautiful service. I was sitting back just lost in all of the words and all of the stories, all of the inspiration, and just feeling so blessed. I want to thank all who participated, all who attended. Just grateful for being in this space. I will end us off with the instrumental version of, I feel, one of our anthems, Blessed Always, because we are so blessed. We are so blessed in this space. Turn your cameras on, smile at someone, wave at someone. Let's all join together, singing in our homes, Thank you, but sing it with energy and love and grace. Thank you. Give thanks. We are blessed. Have a beautiful Sunday and a beautiful week. Much love to everyone across the galaxy and across the universe, wherever you may be. Thank you.
Hello, hello. Thank you all.